Hello everyone. What better way to drop the ball in 2023, aka 2K23, than to have a reveal that we have successfully gotten the TurboGrafx-16 modification off the ground. Yes, it will come out in the foreseeable future, sometime in 2023. It is for the TurboGrafx-16, aka Core Graphics, aka PC Engine Mini. And right here, I am running RetroArch Extreme from the main menu, from the mod hub. But this is not going to be public worthy and safe for release as far as right now. But in the foreseeable future, just like I said, sometime in 2023, it will be. Could be June, could be July. Just don't expect it overnight. There's still a considerable amount of work to do to get this completely stable for public worthy release. But there's going to be a nice testing phase going on, and any kind of bugs will be ironed out. I mean, it is what it is, but we're going to try to get the best of the best to you. You know, Eric Roberts' great movie from the 1980s to you guys and gals in the foreseeable future. But for starters here, of course I had to add Keith Courage and Alpha Zone. What the hell were they thinking by not having this in the default lineup when it came with the system to begin with? And of course we have Strider High Ryu, Mystic Formula, Last Alert. Here's a great homebrew game for PCE CD called FX Unit Yuki the Henshin Engine. We're going to check this one out because this is a great recommendation from Black Sunshine, who has helped me with testing and stuff in the past, as did Requiem. But I actually was unaware of this game until just today. And the funny thing here is I was confusing it with another game which had a similar title on the PC FX. Not to be confused with another NEC system right here. Because the PC FX was essentially the follow-up to the TurboGrafx-CD. But great homebrew games, one of the best in the accolades of homebrew games. And you're going to be able to run just a gazillion games on this mini classic. And obviously some of you are going to have concerns about the front ports and frying controller ports and all that. I mean, I wouldn't recommend doing anything with your system other than the default perimeters if you're really overly concerned with that. But as far as like me and my system, I looked it up, and there's certain models that came out in the first generation that are more affected by this frying of the front ports there. It's more like having like too much power draw. And it kind of sucks they do not have a power adapter with the system, because you don't necessarily know exactly which power adapter you should use. But as of right now, I'm actually using the power adapter that came with my SNES Classic, and I've had no problems for the last 2 years that I've owned the system. So let's check this game out here. And what you hear is phenomenal music here. This is a great game. Kind of reminds me of like a combination of stuff like Shovel Knight, Mega Man. You'll see what I mean in a moment here. This music is great though. Really thoroughly enjoyed this music. And the way I have this set up with the PC Engine core, I have it where you can tap the button and do turbo on or off. Listen to this amazing music. Okay, Yuki, can you hear me? It's a bit of a fourth wall thing here. Kind of like that one Far Cry game where they had like the 80s referential Easter egg style theology. This music is amazing. It reminds me of like The Age of Never Ending Story, Electric Dreams, just many of them quintessential 1980s movies. Okay, turbo on. Speaking of which, this character kind of reminds me of like a character from Cotton and other games like that. And I'm actually going to be going to see that new artificial intelligence movie called Megan. So right now, even though it's like FX Unit Yuki, I'm going to call it like my own interpretation, almost like playing make-believe here, of me doing like Megan the game. Child's play, yes, and of course, I did not plan this. It's just funny time. And it could have been a subconscious thing from my last test, but literally Megan is like a takeoff of Child's Play. And look, right here, Child's Play, yes, now for a change-up. And speaking of funny Child's Play references here, have you ever seen movies where like you have actors that are future movies? I'm talking like 1988 High Spirit starring Steven Guttenberg, Jennifer Tilly, Liam Neeson, even great and his unequivocal best back then. But Jennifer Tilly makes a joke in the movie about falling in love with a devil worshiper. Isn't that kind of funny? Okay, what do I have to do here to get to the next part? Did I miss something? There we go. Defeat the enemy, then we can go to the next part. Parallax scrolling. But anyway, Jennifer Tilly's in it. She made a joke about falling in love with a devil worshiper. Unbeknownst to the time that Child's Play came out roughly around the same time, around 1988. But later on, one of the Child's Play movies had Jennifer Tilly in a row, and she's even in a new Child's Play TV series as well. But it's kind of funny and ironically coincidental that he had references to that, as well as like the reference I saw in Child's Play when I was talking about Megan being a Child's Play child movie. And for those of you who are Child's Play fans, I mean, I love all the movies. But even the latest one, which is the reboot in the theater, there was licensing issues. And we all know about licensing issues, especially when it comes to like ROMs and stuff, where you have to legally provide your own dumped or purchased game. But in any case, Mark Hamill provided the voice of the AI version of Child's Play in the more recent years. But the streaming service had a different right, you know, the home streaming rights, and they were able to use Brad Dourif. And Brad Dourif, for me, go way back. I remember seeing him and Danny DeVito and Jake Nicholson all in Clockwork Orange, which is a fantastic movie, which you should by all means watch if you've never seen it. But great job on this music. And we're going to do a few more showcases here because, I mean, this is awesome stuff here. But this is still work in progress as far as what I would like to decide on for the interface for RetroArch and Stream, etc. But this is a nice Lamborghini from roughly 1978. And I was trying to find like a good picture of like the Lamborghini that was like from the 1984 Automan series, but most of them are like lower resolution. But this is a nice resolution one. And I love all the cars I see in various movies, TV shows, etc. from the A-Team van. And you might notice a little Easter egg when you're playing like a specific game, Blast Corps by Rare on Nintendo 64. You get to see the awesome A-Team van introduced who has a car in the bonus stages. Okay, speaking of Rambo-style games, Red Alert. And I love the fact that this CD format was way ahead of its time from Sega CD to TurboGrafx-CD, where you have these fun introductory cinemas like right here. 20th November 1988. Listen to the voice work here. Just mind-blowing for the time.
The Special Mission Unit were sent here to rescue hostages upon a request from the Lloyd government. There was, however, no sight of a camp at the designated location. We had been tricked by the Lloyd regime.
And I'm especially loving how the animation style here reminds me of like a motion capture comic, and it's like G.I. Joe, a little bit of like the grade, second grade of stuff like Cops the cartoon, Mask the cartoon. Look, even like Walking Dead motion comic right there with the way the... Oh, that's great. I love this stuff. This could easily be like a Laserdisc game. Okay, let's see how this is playing out. And I love my overhead shmups, 3-core perspective stuff. You're talking like Mercs, the overhead stages in Contra, Shock Troopers 1 and 2 for Neo Geo. And look at this. I think this is interesting right here. Bottom right, does he not look like the villain from like Battle of the Planets, a.k.a. G-Force? I mean, that is a great OVA there. And speaking of anime and OVA in general, just let me know what your favorite anime or OVAs are. I mean, for me, I like Elfen Lied. I like watching stuff like Bizarre Adventure, you know, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Berserk, etc. CIA. And speaking of CIA, I'm a fan of that new show called The Recruit.
Their ability should not be underestimated. Yes.
I'm loving this thing. I mean, when you play this game, I mean, you can play it on the other mini classics right now, but definitely play Last Alert and just watch all these cinemas and listen to this. I mean, they obviously put a lot of effort and love into this game. This is great stuff here. Just a great game. Let's see how the gameplay is. Kind of reminds me of like the overhead Rambo game that's on Genesis as well. And I remember this being quite violent. I mean, you have these games where you defeat the enemies and they just like disintegrate in the thin air like they're robots, like in Probotector in Europe. And of course, you didn't have a certain weapon in TurboGrafx, should we say, the Famicom version of TMNT as well, Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles instead of Ninja Turtles. Okay? See how the gameplay is here. Contact your teammates and raid the enemy base. And this overhead thing here kind of reminds me of like another game, Military Madness. That style of graph there. I love Military Madness. It was a game that I actually got when I worked at Video Game Exchange, and somebody came in and traded an entire box of TurboGrafx 2 cards and CD games and a Turbo Duo. But we unfortunately did not take them in at a time, and I've mentioned this in previous videos, but I bought the whole box and just never looked back. I had so many fantastical games. I mean, Battle Rangers was a great game. Listen to this amazing music here. I mean, no matter what, this is one thing I've noticed. There are some games that just have bad music, but I can't think of a single game on Sega CD or TurboGrafx-CD that have bad music. I mean, you can play Addams Family, which is not the best game, but the soundtrack for it is actually phenomenal. Also reminds me of like Michael Dudikoff and Enter the Ninja. You know what movie I'm thinking of. I'm going to let this be a little trivia question here. For those of you who know Michael Dudikoff and his great, great movies, I'm going to give you about 10 seconds to answer this and let me know. Let's flop in there. American Ninja 1 and 2. Michael Dudikoff. Of course, they did American Ninja 3 and 4, which didn't have Michael Dudikoff. But they should have had Michael Dudikoff in Expendables. Maybe he could be in Expendables 4, right? Along with Steven Seagal. I mean, we got to get some of these last action heroes in there. I mean, we already got Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, all the mother fun ones, Eric Roberts. I mean, so many great, great ones. Okay. And there's another actor in a movie now. I mean, Accident Man Holiday. Check out Accident Man Holiday. That movie is fantastic. I'm not even going to tell you which martial artist is in it. I won't see if you know who I'm talking about, but his first name is Scott. But in the last year, I'd have to say Accident Man Holiday is probably by far my favorite movie that I've seen, aside from like Bullet Train, and then the last year was like John Wick Part 3. But loving this game, just awesome, awesome sauce there. Okay. He definitely looks like Rambo. They always make these overhead shmups look like they're Rambo or Sylvester Stallone or, of course, Arnold Schwarzenegger from Terminator.
Guy Kazama, if you don't want the hostage killed, you should keep quiet.
Guy, the stealth bomber is in the back of this factory.
What the hell? Why does it sound like Sean
longer.
Penn talking to Mr. Han, the teacher, and that's Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and Pee Wee Herman from Pee Wee's Playhouse? I mean, it's almost like they did this on purpose. I mean, it's like, hey, they're making me work like 80 hours a week, so I'm gonna start doing Pee Wee Herman voices. That was hilarious, though. I mean, I did not expect that. Oh, jeez. Okay, let me go back to the main menu. Yes, that definitely sounded like Sean Penn, courtesy of like the Fast Times at Ridgemont High. And speaking of Fast Times at Ridgemont High, remember the other great actors from that movie? Forrest Whitaker, one of my all-time favorite actors and everything he's in, Last King of Scotland. One of my coworkers actually told me he met him in person at a college, and Forrest Whitaker has this very, very non-candor, like very candid way of, candid way of meeting people, where he essentially shakes their hand softly while giving them eye contact, maintaining eye contact. It's very respectful and pretty damn awesome. And right here is an awesome, awesome game, Downtown Neketsu Monogatari. And if you don't know what this game is, then you've never played a video game, because it is essentially the TurboGrafx-CD port of the great, great American Technos game, or Technos Japan game for Nintendo. We're talking River City Ransom, which is one of those games that I had the map pull out from the poster of River City Ransom on the back with the map for the Nintendo Entertainment System. And out of all the games I've ever beaten, I've probably beaten this game more than about any game you can imagine, other than like Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, etc. But awesome, awesome game. Do a little bit of turbo fire here. Okay. I love this game. I mean, I just played it so many times over the years. Just the upgrades and all that fun stuff. Look at that. Listen to this music. And they have River City Ransom Girls as well, which I still need to pick up. I believe it's on like 3DS and Switch? Or is it on... Yeah, I think it's on Switch and 3DS right now. But yes, River City Ransom, Neketsu to Downtown right here. We gotta check this out. Love this game. Any of these games they make. Speaking of like Double Dragon, they also did stuff like Renegade. But Double Dragon is definitely one of the best games this company's ever made. I love the super deformed style graphics, and if you ever play Wanpaku SD Spider House, that's a great NES Famicom game to play too. I mean, it's a comical, almost like a childlike version of Spider House, even with like Michael Jackson style reference and all that. This is great, great, great game. And speaking of like this company here, Technos, we're gonna try one of the other games while we're here, because we need to see if MAME 2003 Steam works, right? You might remember when I was first working on MAME 2003 Stream, I got a few other collaborators, and the game ran so slow as molasses. I mean, every time you had more than one or two enemies on screen, it slowed down. But as of right now, MAME 2003 Stream, it is phenomenal for everything from like Ninja Baseball Batman. And there's a little bit of a side story on Ninja Baseball Batman, where essentially a guy just was kind of like laughing at like Power Rangers and Batman and just ninjas and just everything. So he decided to make a game based off of the whole premise and just called like Ninja Baseball Batman. And it had a very, very limited run in arcade. But once it became more pronounced, many people saw it as a cult classic. Kind of like Cuphead nowadays. But wait till you see how nice this runs. I remember playing this in the arcade. Me and my friend would get on the bus, like when we were kids, go to a local swimming pool, and play this in the arcade. I'd always get to the third stage and fall into the water, trying to do both the punch and kick button to jump, you know. Remember how crazy it was to try to jump? Jumping is so tricky in this game. It's not as tricky to try to do like up and down, but look at it. There's no slowdown. This is just flawless. I mean, it's made 2003 Extreme. See that? MAME 2003 Extreme. I mean, it's just culmination of many, many hundreds of builds and testing phases. And I give personal thanks to Mahoney, T944, and of course, Arcade 2003, and just everybody else who's been involved in the process of MAME 2003, plus an extreme emulation and such. And even Madmonkey and DanTheMan827 have helped out here and there in some of my brainstorming sessions. And I love playing these games where you see like the wanted posters and all that. Kind of reminds me of another game called Gunsmoke. And I always love playing like the home version. I love the home version for like buying a Commando and Gunsmoke more than I like the arcade versions. I mean, have you ever played like an arcade port which you actually don't like as much as the home port? Strider. I mean, Strider's like a mix-up, or I like the Metroidvania-esque nature of the home port. Then I like the arcade version as well, which is one of the first 8 megabit games. And of course, I'm not the type who always likes grabbing the weapons, because some of these weapons will actually hinder you. You kind of like getting on the mouse and going next. I'd rather just use that dwarf and roll backwards and do that like backwards attack. See if I can do that glitch. I remember there being a glitch in the NES version, but I'm not sure if the glitch is presented in this game. There's where I'm going to get screwed. Look at it. With no slowdown, the game's much harder. There's 0 slowdown now. So yeah, it took a lot of testing. I had to go through this game multiple times just to make sure there were no issues as far as like the slowdown and all that. There's even like a crash end bug where like you got to the final boss, he pulled out the machine gun, and then the game would freeze. But that is completely fixed up thanks to all involved. But look at this. I mean, 2-player mode activate. You can have that with no slowdown too. Oh yeah, this is great. But definitely one of my favorite Technos games without doubt. I like the NES version as well because it has the RPG elements where you actually level up your characters and all that. But I'm kind of wondering why they never did a 2-player mode activate for the Nintendo version. Whereas for the Atari 2600, 7800, and Sega Master System versions, they had 2-player mode activate. What the hell is going on there? But yeah, at the end of the NES version, you can literally go, oh, look at that. It's almost like a little Easter egg cat. Almost like they have like the Captain Commando style thing in mini games. I could see like Technos having like cats in their game. Great game. You might remember that when you play like games like Renegade, where you like, and even Double Dragon 2, where like sometimes you go to kick and it kicks backwards. In this game, you actually kick forward. Oh, geez, it's so fast now. It's ridiculously fast. I love this. Perfect emulation. Even the arcade version doesn't run this perfect. Like I said, the idea of extreme here is not only like emulating the stuff, but being able to run it like literally with 0 slowdown, if at all possible, for better or worse. Now, obviously, I love the fact that you can beat up your own opponent in the game. It makes for some fun stuff. If somebody tries to like jump the bridge, you can like jump kick them and take them down. Okay, our game's over, but yeah, I'd be interested in more coins at that point. See what else we have there. We could do 1 or 2 more demonstrations. We got Nintendo 64 running, folks. Let's see how that runs on here. Decimals. We got another great art. Of course, Keith George, I needed to get on their Strider. Mystic Form, I already showed that. We'll do 1 or 2 more demonstrations. I got some nice NES games which will run. But of course, we definitely need to see how Nintendo 64 runs on here because I have the ludicrous N64 Extreme Amped core. And within the last several releases, I got things to the point where you're able to essentially have no more crashing. But I'm running a PlayStation Classic controller. Just check this out. Input. We're running a PlayStation Classic controller. We have no analogs on this controller. So how the hell are we going to play Mario 64, which requires analogs? We're going to go to Controls, Load Remap File, N64 Extreme. We're going to go to Mario 64. Okay, there we go. And we're going to be able to run this with just the D-pad right now. And Black Sunshine and Mad Franco 008 were tremendous in the couple months it took to get all these mappers together for 300 plus games. Okay? And we're running this on Ludicrous N64 Extreme Amped. Here we go. Ludicrous N64 Extreme Amped. 2K22. I don't know if I'm going to have to like upgrade it to 2023. I don't know if I want to add any more changes prior to the release. I'm still going to be doing a release whether or not we get this TurboGrafx-16 hack out in the near future. I mean, you're still going to get the release for the Mega Drive, SNES, NES Classics, as well as the Amiga and PlayStation Classic. I mean, I have Fushi, Himasami, and Deathmouse working for the Mega Drive, SNES, and NES Classics. courtesy of the Cave Shmup Ultimate. Okay, let's see how this runs. So far, so good. I remember actually playing. I imported the Japan version of both this and Pilot Wings back in the day. And one thing you might not realize, if you go into quick menu options on this particular core, you could have Turbo Boost or Overclock. I have X1 for the overclock right now, and you might notice we're running in HD, but by default, most of these Nintendo 64 cores can't go past 320 times 240 without having severe performance and speed anxiety issues. But I did what I could over the course of 4+ months to get this working as well as I could in HD mode activate, whether or not you're overclocked at 1.008 gigahertz on the Mega Drive Mini or 1.24 default for the SNES, NES, and of course the TurboGrafx Mini and the 1.34. Here we go. Oh, yeah. Just using a D-pad right now, folks. And I'd say we're running between 55 to 60 frames per second from my last test. But yes, Nintendo 64 is running phenomenally here. And I also have Pilot Wing 64 working like perfectly, running at a good 60 plus frames per second for the next release on all of the mini classics. And you can actually play the 64 DD, disk drive version of Mario 64 as well, which is great because it has almost like a developer thing in there where you could have all the stores unlocked and have all the stages. You can go to any stage you want in the game, which is fun. I mean, you can go experience any stage as you will. Look how amazing this is running now. Just fantastic. But yes, NES games are running well. Mega Drive, SharpX 68000, PSP is running, Open Board's running. The Mario 64 port, which we may work something out with that in the future. Sonic Mania. But again, tremendous personal thanks to Madmonkey and DanTheMan827 of Team Shinkansen for their incredible, prosperous efforts in working on mini classics over the last several years. Look at it. It's almost like a little... This reminds me of like the Dragon's Lair Laserdisc game. I mean, and speaking of which, I have an updated FB Neo Extreme Core, which you're going to be able to run all the ColecoVision Super Game Module games. I mean, 60 plus games on the Mega Drive, SNES, and NES Classic. They already work on the Amiga and PlayStation Classic, but I've had issues in the past getting them to work properly on, of course, the Mega Drive, SNES, and NES Classic, but as of the next update, along with the Cage Shmup, they're going to be working on all these minis. So here we go, back to the main menu, and everything's running kosher here. Great, great stuff. But if you have any tips or suggestions, be sure to let me know, and I'll relay them to Madmonkey and DanTheMan827. And let's hope by July 4th we can get this out to the public. But as of right now, we want to make sure that it is as stable as possible. But thanks for watching, folks. TurboGrafx-16, we have it.